Shalom. I'm Rabbi Davidovich, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel, on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. I apologize for being a moment late, but we had a storm here that has kicked out my internet. But hopefully it'll work and you'll be able to follow this. We're going to talk for a few minutes about this week's Torah reading, this week's Parsha, which is Vayakhel. And the message, the very important message that we get. First of all, the Parsha begins, Vayakhel Moshe es kol adas bnei Yisrael. That Moshe gathered all of the people, everybody, every Jewish people, every one of the Jewish people, all of Bnei Israel, together to talk to them. Now, when is this occurring? Leading up to this, of course, had the Exodus from Egypt. We had the crossing of the sea. We had the receiving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. Then we had, unfortunately, the incident of the golden calf. At that time, you'll remember that Moses was coming down from the mountain with the tablets of the commandments, and he saw what the children of Israel were doing. They were dancing around this golden calf, celebrating, having a great feast. And he threw the tablets down, broke them into pieces. And basically, God wanted to destroy the Jewish people. He says, what's with these people? I've done so much for them. And look what they're doing now. They worship a golden calf. So Moses was able to appease God, and God didn't kill all the Jewish people. Then Moshe went back up to Har Sinai, went back up for 40 days to receive a new set of tablets of the commandments. And then he's coming down. He comes down on the 40th day. And the 40th day, just to put it in perspective, is just after Yom Kippur. Comes down right the night following Yom Kippur. And basically the message that he's giving the Jewish people is that you're forgiven. But it's important to give the Jewish people a weapon to help them prevent themselves from ever falling into this kind of a situation. So the word Vayakhel means everybody together. It wasn't just some people who was telling us to. We wanted everybody to gather together. Then what does it say? V'yomer alehem, the Torah says, God said to them, Elu hadvorim asher tziva Hashem la'asos osam. These are the things that God commanded you to do. Sheishesh yomim teyasa malacha. 6 days you shall do your work. V'yom hashvi Yilachem Kodesh, should be a holy day. Shabbat, on a day of Shabbat, a day of Shabbat. So we see two things so far. We see the gathering of everybody together, the unification of the people, and then we have Shabbat. And Shabbat is also a time when everybody gets together. It's a sign of the unity of Bnei Yisrael, of the connection between the children of Israel and God. Then a few sentences later in this parsha, it says, it talks about making the Mishkan, the whole chapter about the Mishkan, the sanctuary in the desert. It talks about that. So what's the connection between these, and what do we learn? What do we learn from these? We see that in the Mishkan was also a sign of unity of all of the Jews. When the Mishkan was there, God's presence was resting on the Mishkan, on the tabernacle, and all the Jews were united. Shabbos were united. God has given us these two things, Shabbos and the Mishkan, as a preventative to keep us from falling as low as we did at that time. Now, Shabbos, we know, occurs every week. But what about the Mishkan? The Mishkan was in the desert, and then the Mishkan was replaced in Jerusalem by the Beis Hamikdash, which was destroyed. So what do we have today? How do we use the power of the Mishkan today? Well, you remember that when God first started commanding us about building a tabernacle, he says, "V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'socham." Make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell within you, within each and every Jew. Within each and every Jew, we have the ability to have this sanctuary. So we have the formula for unity right within us. And on Shabbos we have total unity. On Shabbos, we start Shabbos with the statement from the Torah, Vayakhel Shabbat v'aretz v'chol tzvaim, that God completed all of the world, the heavens and the earth, completed it all. When we go into Shabbat, we have to look at ourselves. No matter what we have left to do, we've completed everything. There's nothing left. No matter if you're in the middle of a big project, Friday night comes, Shabbos comes, that project is done. It doesn't matter what stage it's in. You have to look at everything as if it's completely done. And you have to recognize that Shabbos is a gift from God to the Jewish people to bring them all together. A day when we do nothing but sit and bask, if you will, in the light of Shabbat. And doing that, we have the family gathering together. We invite strangers to our home. We have fantastic meals. We have a togetherness. We have a day in which we are able to escape from the travails of the rest of the week. But the key is that we escape together. We escape as a Jewish people. The word Vayakhel, Hashem is telling us we must be united. In order to prevent us from again sinking so low as we did with the golden calf, we have to recognize the love for each other. Recognize that everybody has a holy neshama, every single Jew. It doesn't matter what they particularly call themselves, whether they call themselves Orthodox, Haredi, Reform, atheist, agnostic. If they're Jews, they have a holy Jewish neshama, and we have to recognize that, and we have to bring them all together. Vayakhel, just as God has done to Bnei Israel in the desert, bring everybody together so that we can celebrate our own individual Mishkan within us, the tabernacle within us, and so that we can not only keep Shabbat. It's easy to keep Shabbat. You know, there's lots of things that you said you're not supposed to do. But it says that we have to make Shabbat. We have to do something different. We have to make Shabbat something special. Part of the specialness of Shabbat is the unity of the Jewish people. There's a lot more I can say, but there's not enough time. And I'm afraid the internet's going to go out again. So let me stop at this point. Thank you for listening on behalf of the webyeshiva.org. And I wish everybody a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat, a Shabbat of true unity, a Shabbat when we learn how to access the tabernacle within us. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.